the exact moment the calendar turned to 2026, something quietly unusual happened. There was no stage lighting up the night, no countdown broadcast pulling millions into a shared screen, no explosive teaser designed to dominate headlines. Instead, there was a calm message from BLACKPINK. Simple, measured, almost easy to overlook. And yet, within minutes, it began to settle into people's hearts in a way noise never could. Fans didn't rush to react. They paused. They reread the words. They felt something shift, something subtle but unmistakable. This wasn't excitement in the usual sense. It was recognition, the kind that doesn't shout but stays. This moment mattered not because of what was promised, but because of what was chosen. BLACKPINK could have opened 2026 with spectacle. They could have fed anticipation, stirred speculation, pushed timelines into the spotlight. Instead, they chose restraint, gratitude, presence. And that decision changed how the message landed entirely. For Blinks who have lived through years of waiting, questioning, hoping, and staying, this calm arrival into a new year felt different. It didn't demand patience. It acknowledged it. And that acknowledgement carried weight. Stay with this story, because this is where the emotion deepens. BLACKPINK's journey has never been linear. It has been marked by peaks that shook the industry and pauses that tested loyalty. Fans learned to read silence as much as sound. Every quiet period became a question. Every small gesture became a clue. Over time, that constant analysis created fatigue. Not because fans cared less, but because caring so deeply can be exhausting. When this New Year message arrived without mystery, without coded hints, without hidden meanings to decode, something unexpected happened. People relaxed. They felt seen, not teased. And that emotional shift was powerful. Instead of explosive reactions, engagement grew slowly and steadily. Long comments replaced short ones. Thoughtful reflections replaced speculation. Fans talked about growth, about time passing, about entering 2026 with the same calm resolve they felt in the message. This wasn't hype. This was connection, and connection holds attention longer than hype ever could. As the hours passed, the message didn't fade. It traveled. From time zone to time zone. From language to language. Fans waking up hours later experienced the same quiet impact. Not adrenaline. Not urgency. Reassurance. The sense that BLACKPINK were grounded, intentional, and fully aware of where they stood. And that awareness spoke louder than any announcement. In an industry driven by constant updates, BLACKPINK made a statement by not making one. They didn't interrupt the moment. They honored it. And in doing so, they reminded everyone that relevance doesn't always come from volume. Sometimes it comes from timing. Halfway into the day, conversations began to shift. People weren't asking what comes next. They were asking why this felt so meaningful. Why a simple greeting carried more emotional weight than elaborate promotions. The answer was subtle, but clear. This message didn't create pressure. It released it. Fans didn't feel like they were waiting for something that might never arrive. They felt like they were standing alongside artists who trusted their own pace. That kind of trust is rare. And once felt, it's hard to forget. This is important, so don't drift away here. BLACKPINK didn't step into 2026 trying to dominate the conversation. They didn't compete with predictions, rankings, or comeback rumors already filling the air. They existed above that noise, calmly, confidently. And that contrast made everything else feel louder, more frantic, less grounded. The message didn't look backward with nostalgia. It didn't lean forward with promises. It stayed in the present, thanking fans, acknowledging the journey, welcoming time as it comes. That emotional balance resonated deeply, especially with a fandom that has grown older, more reflective, and more patient. As discussions continued, a quiet realization spread. BLACKPINK didn't need to reassure anyone of their importance. Their tone alone reminded people why they matter. They didn't need urgency to stay relevant. They define relevance by being intentional, and intention creates longevity. Think about the psychology of this moment. When audiences are constantly overstimulated, calm becomes magnetic. People lean in instead of scrolling past. They listen instead of reacting. They stay instead of moving on. This New Year message didn't chase retention. It earned it. As night turned into morning in different parts of the world, fans shared how the message made them feel rather than what they thought it meant. That distinction is crucial. Feeling lasts longer than interpretation, and BLACKPINK chose to connect emotionally, not strategically. If you're still here, here's where the deeper layer reveals itself. This message subtly reframed expectations for 2026, not by lowering them, but by stabilizing them. It reminded fans that the story isn't defined by constant milestones. It's defined by continuity, by staying present, by moving forward without fear of silence. That emotional safety changed how fans entered the new year. There was less anxiety, less pressure, more trust. And trust is the foundation of lasting fandom. As the days ahead unfold, there will be news. There will be speculation. There will be moments designed to capture attention quickly. But this quiet entry into 2026 will stand apart because it didn't try to capture anything. It simply existed. And existence, when authentic, leaves a deeper mark. In the final stretch of this story, there's one truth that stands above the rest. BLACKPINK didn't shake Blink's hearts by announcing change. They did it by showing stability, by welcoming a new year without urgency, without promises, without spectacle. They reminded millions that sometimes the strongest signal is calm confidence. And what makes this moment linger is how quietly it refuses to fade. Days pass, timelines move on, new topics fight for attention. Yet this message continues to resurface in conversations, not because people are searching for news, but because they're remembering how it felt. That is rare. Attention usually spikes and disappears. This didn't spike, it settled. Fans began to describe the message not as an update, but as a checkpoint. A reminder that time has moved forward, that both BLACKPINK and Blinks have grown, and that entering 2026 didn't require noise to feel meaningful. For many, it felt like being acknowledged without being rushed, like being trusted to stay, rather than being pulled to react. There's a quiet confidence in that choice. It suggests artists who understand the weight of their presence, who no longer need to fill every silence to prove relevance. BLACKPINK didn't frame the new year as a reset or a restart. They framed it as continuation. And that framing matters more than people realize because continuity builds security. Security builds loyalty. And loyalty keeps people listening long after louder voices lose their echo. As more fans reflected, one thought kept returning. This message didn't feel like it was written for algorithms. It felt written for people. For those who stayed during uncertainty. For those who learned patience. For those who didn't leave when attention shifted elsewhere. That sense of mutual respect deepened the bond in a way no promotional campaign ever could. And that's the final layer of why this worked. BLACKPINK didn't try to control the narrative of 2026. They trusted it. They trusted time. They trusted their audience. And trust is felt instantly, even when nothing dramatic is said. As the year continues to unfold, this moment stands quietly at the beginning, not demanding to be remembered, yet impossible to forget. A calm entry into a year full of unknowns. A steady presence in a world that rarely slows down. Sometimes, the strongest connection isn't built by saying more. It's built by saying just enough and meaning it.